and how well they work for me, because I don't know what's working for you guys yet. But it's one thing that's worked really good for me. It's the local ponds would be Strike King, the Shimmy Stick. It's basically a Cinco. If you guys haven't heard of them, Shimmy Stick, Cinco is basically from the same exact, thing. They just have different names because Strike King calls them Shimmy Sticks. So take one out of the package to show you. Other brands do have this exact Cinco, but Strike King has the best because it's salt fortified. You can see that. Alright, I like those a lot because they're, for some reason, bass seem to be attracted to them. Alright, next one, the KVD Perfect Plastics, one of my favorite bass fishermen. Bass seem to like these a lot because they're not necessarily like the salt fortified like these, but they do have like a salt on them. And the thing that's great about them is they have like a coffee scent, almost like a coffee taste too. So when the bass hits them, they tend to hold on to things with more of a taste. And that's why these seem to work so well for a lot of fishermen. And they work pretty good for me. One thing that I've caught, the worm that I've caught 99.9% of my bass on for worms is definitely the U-Vibe Speed Worm by Junebug by Zoom. It's got, it's just really nice. For some reason, the bass really like these a lot. They really like these because I guess it's the Junebug color, and ever since the summer started, the Junebugs are just hitting off like a rocket. It works really good at Alafaya, and then it works good at some of your like local neighborhood ponds. One of my favorite baits that I like pitch, not really the flip. For these brush hogs, kind of more like a sight fishing bait. They're not really a pitching bait. You can pitch them, but I personally like these better for flipping, like up in little pockets and stuff. Bass really like brush hogs. The baby brush hogs, don't really bother by buying the bigger ones because those just are way too big for fish that are around here. So that's what I usually don't buy. But I'll usually buy the baby brush hogs. Next one, the KVD Perfect Plastics. It's the Cinco, okay. The KVD Perfect Plastics, again, they have the coffee scent with salt. It does smell a lot like coffee, so the bass tend to hold on to things that have more of a taste, like I said earlier, have a taste and stuff. They'll want to hold on to it more thinking it's like alive. So definitely check those out and get them at Dick's and Sports Authority. I'm not sure, you might be able to get them at Walmart. I don't think Walmart has them. The Yum Fork Dingers. I know the regular Yum Dingers, you can wacky rig them, but I'm not too sure about the Yum Fork Dingers because they have the fork tail there. But I'm going to try that out. But I know these work really good if you're just planning on using them and pitching them up in the soft pocket, like the thick brush for in the pockets. That works really good. I've used these in the pockets, in the trees and stuff. They work really good, but I personally would rather use them outside of the lily pads. Don't bring them to the lily pads because they're really like soft. They're not as hard as like the Zoom and stuff. They'll come off a little bit easier. That's the only problem I have with those. Yum is a little bit it's not quite as good as Zoom and Z-Man in them. But this bait here has worked really good for me. It's the Big Show Paddle Worm. It's the green pumpkin. Honestly, to me, it looks more like green, the watermelon seed. But I guess they name theirs differently. But these work really good. A little long though, but I like these a lot. It's the Horny Toad, the Watermelon Red. Watermelon Red looks really nice. I'm not sure if it's the way it looks red, like the fish it's bleeding. The cool thing about frogs is that you don't want to make them look like a frog. You're actually trying to make them look like an immature bluegill. So when it swims up to the shallows and how they get stuck on top of lily pads and stuff, that's why you want to jerk it with the Horny Toad a lot, because it's got the more like bubbly and stuff as it goes across the top of the lily pads. I don't have my favorite frog with me right now, but I'll get you guys to show you that in a little bit of a later video. It's over there. It's got it's like one of those kind of frogs that have like little two skirt legs. I chopped about one of them in half, one of the skirt legs in half. So what it does is it goes across the water and like doof, 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 and that looks more like a fish or a bluegill than a bass. These are really nice baits. Check them out. You can get them at Walmart, Dick's, Sports Authority. Wave worms. I hadn't heard too much about these. I learned about them like a week ago actually. So I watched a couple of YouTube videos and they started talking about wave worms. They're pretty good. This is a green pumpkin. Didn't get it out. I don't know why they call it green pumpkin. It's like not green at all. It's like completely brown. And I thought it had no sparkles, but it's got these dark black sparkles. And it tends to shine a lot in the water when the water's a little bit murkier. So if you're fishing in murky water, you want to get a darker bait. That's just the way I learned it, and that's the way I caught a lot of bass. Like there's a place, Wortham Park, that's got really kind of dark, murky water, and the darker the bait, the better. Here's one of the favorite lizards that worked for me a lot at my local ponds. It works probably the best for me. It's the watermelon seed. Watermelon red, I think. No, it's not watermelon red. It's watermelon seed or green pumpkin. I can't remember. It's watermelon seed actually. Works really good for me. It's got a little bit of gold in it for some reason. Normally watermelon seeds don't have gold in them. But it's working really good. I think it's because of all the anoles in Florida. So is the June bug lizard, but I didn't bring that in. This is in my tackle box. Right here is the Swimming Super Fluke Summer Crawl. Okay. Alright, these are really nice. They're a thicker fluke, but they're a softer fluke, so the bass, when they hit it, they like to hold on to things that are a little bit thicker. It's got a really nice paddle tail there, so it's going to create a lot of bubbles across the surface. So, that's what it looks like. Alright, my next one is going to be the horny-toed bullfrog. It's different. Like, I showed you the horny-toed watermelon red. It's a darker color with the reddish color, but it's still a little bit of green watermelons down at the bottom. But this one here isn't watermelon at all. It's the bullfrog version. It's green and brown. The top, it's all brown. Alright. So, this is the frog. It's definitely one of my favorite frogs to go to. Besides the watermelon, or if we're talking about Zoom frog, besides watermelon red, I like this frog a lot. It's definitely a go-to frog. So when we're talking about swim baits, I see a lot of YouTube people do a lot of videos on swim baits and stuff. And definitely the #1 swim bait I have to say is definitely Storm. Probably one of the best bass swim baits there is. It's like a 1/4 ounce, 8 centimeters, 10 grams. They're really, really, really nice swim baits. And under it, you can see the little red there. It's supposed to mean it's a bleeding shad. The fish are going to come up and see the shad. As it's going, as you're jerking it a little, it's going to look like it's dead. Like not dead, but as it's dying. The bass tend to hit that a little bit more often because they see that something's injured. It can be an easier kill for them because they don't want to waste energy. You can also get it on an Alabama rig. You can put swim baits on, but there's like 5 swim baits or 6 swim baits that go on it. And then there's one that comes in this package that I saw on. It's basically like this, but it's got a little chunk taken out there and a red hook, and that's all red. It's a red treble hook, and it looks really cool. I'm probably gonna try to buy one of those. And for saltwater, this is a little bit different. Normally I don't talk about saltwater too much when I'm talking about bass, but Stren, definitely 17-pound test, is definitely a really good saltwater line. And so is Trilene. Next one we have the Skinny Dipper White Trash Reaction Innovations. These are really good jerkbaits though. You can see I used a lot of them. They're really good jerkbaits because they're so thick. And they got a really nice hook barrier right there. To me, the thicker the swim bait, the jerk bait, the better. And I'm going to try to break up one of these jerk baits as a swim bait and see how well it does. But the jerkbaits usually work really good for me, and so it's basically all about your personal preference on which one you like better. Once again, back to the saltwater thing. These work really good for offshore angler. They're a really good brand. Circle hooks. My circle hook over here. These are the Octopus Beak circle hooks. Another pair is just smaller, like 2-aught, 1-aught circle hooks. That was those. One of my favorite things to talk about here would be crankbaits. Really love crankbaits because I've caught about 90% of my bass altogether over everything on crankbaits. About 80% of my bass on crankbaits. These here, we have. The thing I like about these kind of crankbaits is the front of it. It's kind of got the rounded bill. So this one's a little bit harder to show it on, but I'll show it on this one. This is crankbait I've caught in about a 13-pound bass on. Then I caught an 8-pound bass on this, and then my dad caught another like 13, 12-pound bass on this. And the cool thing about the rounded bill is it's going to dive down, and it's going to hit surface, like right here. It'll hit the surface, and it's going to go, and like this. And it's going to be scraping the surface, and it's going to be getting up with a lot of like dirt and stuff, and the bass are going to see it. It's going to be really nice. I really like to use that one right there. This one I caught a 4-pound bass on my aunt's pond. I like this one a lot. It's a shallow diver, but I like a little bit of shallow diving crankbaits every once in a while when you're fishing in the shallower waters. I like my crankbait if it's a shallow diving crankbait in shallow water to where it's only maybe like 3 feet at max. I like it to swim maybe a foot above the bottom if it's a shallow diving crankbait, because the bass aren't going to be at the very bottom. They're going to be swimming around about the middle, and that's the midsection where my crankbait's going to be swimming through. So if I'm fishing shallow water, shallow diving crankbait, if I'm fishing 3 water, I'm going to fish 2 deep crankbait. But back to this one here, maybe say we're fishing 5-6 foot water. This dives down to about 7 foot, which is my favorite way to fish. If you have a deep diving crankbait, to where it's deeper than how deep the water is, so it'll scrape across the bottom, and that's just one of the main ways on how I catch fish on a crankbait. If we're gonna go back to top water, definitely the Coper's frog has been really good for me. I've only caught maybe 2 bass on this one, but all the bass I caught were big. It was like a 3.5 pounder, maybe 4 pounder on them. Really nice. For me, I like it a lot. This is a spoon, but I haven't fished with this one, but it's pretty similar to the striped perch. So I'm gonna probably try this out. It's probably gonna work perfectly fine. It looks about pretty similar to the striped perch, except it's not a striped perch. It's a fire tiger. Fire tiger is pretty similar to the striped perch. So I'm gonna give this a shot later. Don't know too much about that one, but I know spoons work really good. Fish with those. But now one of my second favorite things to talk about, spinner baits. Like I said, this type of spinner bait here is called like I can't remember exactly which type of vibration paddle this is, but it's mainly for getting vibrations through the water with like the bumpy edges and stuff. In the front, that's mainly for getting vibrations. Here's another really good one that I like, called my school spinner bait. It's got a willow leaf, but it's a painted willow leaf that had a fish on it. Normally, your willow leaf designs will not have the fish design on it, but that's really cool. So it's almost like a school swim bait. Then it's got this one, which basically, this one shines light mainly in the water, and this one here creates vibration, so there's a little bit different comparison to them. And then this willow leaf here is mainly for like speed and stuff. It's gonna attract some bass. If you're fishing in darker, murkier water, I definitely probably recommend this one more. It's gonna create more vibration, so the fish can find it easier. And it's like a chartreuse color. Chartreuse. I like these a lot. I definitely think that's pretty cool how it's got the fish design on it. And it's a really nice setup for this one. To me, I like it a lot. And one of my favorite jigs, a football jig. I like it a lot. It's black and yellow. The hook is right about there. It's about a 5-aught, 4-aught hook. And it's got this green head, and I'm not quite sure like what color that is. I'm not sure if there's like a name for that one.